The conduct is something that is shocking to the conscience.
A community left in shock. The Fresno Police Department reeling after disturbing surveillance video of a teen being shot in the back of the head by an officer in 2017 surfaces. What this means for the city of Fresno and how it could play a big role in the mayor's race.
Am I total?
Wow. Am I wacko?
Here's the thing. Who thought Donald Trump was going to be president of the United States? So I don't ever dismiss anything.
Rare insight to the world of politics in Washington. My exclusive with the face of Meet the Press, Chuck Todd. And our panel in place from the deadly use of force by a Fresno police officer now making national headlines to the latest unrest in Syria. It's all on KC24 Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from KC24, your local election headquarters, with your host, Alexan Balakian. This is Sunday Morning Matters.
And good Sunday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alexan Balakian. You can always join the conversation on social media at RealAlexan. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Along the way, a Druze leader of Lebanon and Syria, Mike Hamzy, will join me in studio with direct insight to the Turkey ceasefire brokered by President Trump. But we begin with the new shocking surveillance video made public this week in the 2017 Fresno police shooting of a 16-year-old boy. The Fresno Police Department breaking their silence after the story went national. The lawyer representing the father of the teen shot and killed, Isaiah Murrieta Golding, says the deadly force the officer used was uncalled for. Surveillance video from the day of the incident expected to be the focus of an upcoming civil trial that could cost the city millions of dollars.
Right there, down on your knees. Down on your knees.
16-year-old Isaiah Murrieta Golding ran from police after he and his brother were pulled over in April of 2017. Just a few moments later, a gunshot rings out. The teen was shot in the back of the head after scaling a daycare fence near Fresno and Shaw.
I mean, it's unjustified. I don't know how anybody looking at that video can say that this young man running away from an officer or a group of officers posed a threat to them or anybody else.
Stuart Chandler is the lawyer representing the father of the 16-year-old. He says Murrieta Golding was not armed and police did not have a warrant for his arrest.
What we've seen on a number of situations with lethal force, that it's somehow an accepted practice.
Tonight, new Fresno Police Chief Andy Hall coming to the defense of the officer who fired the fatal shot, Sergeant Ray Villavazzo, asking the public not to rush to judgment. In a statement, Hall says, quote, "The use of lethal force in this case occurred while officers were investigating a homicide. The 16-year-old in this case was involved in the homicide with his brother, and the brother was later arrested and pled guilty." Hall goes on to say the video represents a different vantage point and was not what the pursuing officers could see. The 16-year-old was also known to carry firearms and had jumped a fence into a child daycare center.
Conduct is something that is shocking to the conscience.
Criminal defense attorney David Mugridge says it's clear in the video the suspect was simply trying to pick up his pants and not reach for a firearm.
Can't run unless they pull their pants up and hold it up.
This is the latest use of force by Fresno police against a teenager. You might remember London Wallace was punched by an officer in the face multiple times back in August. A civil lawsuit also pending in that case. As the Murrieta Golding trial looms, Mugridge believes the city could be facing at least a $5 million settlement, partly because of what was heard by an officer on the body cam footage.
That statement, "good shot," meant, hey, that was a good shot. You got him right in the head. Instead of shooting him in the leg or shooting him in the back, somewhere in the body that would bring him down. That's a little disturbing. It's almost like a hunting statement.
And we've also learned the officer, Sergeant Villavazzo, has returned to active duty after the shooting was investigated and ruled justified by 3 different agencies. But on Thursday, several Fresno City Council members breaking their silence despite the pending civil lawsuit, and clearly they are divided.
And I know it looks terrible. It's an absolute tragedy. But, you know, we had a grand jury, we have an independent police auditor, we have a DA, and they reached their conclusions.
And Fresno City Councilman Miguel Arias saying, quote, You know clearly we need to improve training and de-escalation techniques in the police department, and these are past incidents that we are now having to address. And for more on this story and to watch the surveillance video in its entirety, head to our website, yourcentralvalley.com. We now bring in our panel of the week. Let's take roll call. KC24 political analyst Jim Veros is here. Former congressional candidate and executive director of the Political Action Committee, New Faces GOP, Elizabeth Hain. And local attorney and member of the Fresno County Democratic Party, David Rowell, is also here. David, I do want to begin with you in this particular case because as a local attorney on the set here, did the DA, did the independent city auditor and internal affairs get it right? Is the use of deadly force here, a single shot to the back of the head of Isaiah Murrieta Golding, is it justified?
I can't see any scenario whereby that is justified. You look at the video, right? This kid is running as fast as he can away from the officer. He's not a threat to anybody. The only threat that's presented is if he ran into a wall and broke his nose.
What about the fact that he ran into a daycare center?
It was a Saturday. The daycare center was closed. It was deserted. There was nobody there. And if this officer is worried about the daycare center, what the heck is he doing shooting towards the daycare center? I can't believe that that's right. He shot to kill this kid.
Jim, I want to come to you. You can respond to that and also to this. New Police Chief Andy Hall, did he handle it the right way, coming out with a statement and not coming out in front of the cameras?
Well, and I think when it comes with Chief Hall, he's going to be answering a lot of this sort of stuff. Obviously, he wasn't chief when this incident happened, along with a lot of the other incidences that have happened with the Fresno Police Department over the last couple of years in regards to body cams and whatnot. I think he's got to be very, very careful, not just politically, but obviously he's not just the police chief, he's an interim police chief. So he is definitely on a short rope, so to speak, in regards to how he does things. It's a tough video to watch, and I don't disagree with David on a lot of those things. But I'm a new father, and I think about that's someone's kid, and I was taught when I was a kid that when the police pull you over, or whenever, your job is to go home and you listen to the police. And if they take you to jail or whatnot, then we'll call lawyers, we'll help you out. But your job is to go home. And I think that it really comes down to why are kids running away from the police. This is what happens when this happens. And that's not a partisan thing, that's not a police chief thing, that's a why is this happening sort of thing.
So let me bring this up, and Elizabeth weigh in here, because Stuart Chandler said that in the package. He said this has become common practice. How is this being received nationally, you think?
I think that it's important that we look at we look at scenarios such as this, but at the same time we need to make sure that due process takes place and that the court of opinion and YouTube, justified or not, is not how we make decisions.
Yeah, so we got to let, as you know, the legal process has got to play out. What if we see other video that we may not know about yet, where
it's
we
hard,
haven't seen yet?
Having seen the video, it's very clear.
But what if there's other video we haven't seen yet?
Well, do you want to just make up a video where he's got an Uzi?
Well, I don't want to make up anything. I'm just saying maybe we haven't seen everything yet, and that's why Andy Hall, the interim police chief, now police chief, is saying don't rush to judgment.
Well, I certainly don't think we need to rush to judgment, but I just find it incredible that any of the reviewing agencies could conclude that that was a justified shooting. That's
but I would
incredible.
argue that there was probably information that they're privy to that we currently can't see based on just that video alone.
And perhaps there was. We've been told that he and his brother committed this crime and that his brother has pled guilty. So there's no evidence of that because the kid was shot before going to trial. So all he is an accused, right? But let's accept the fact that he was involved in some way in the murder that led to the arrest. We don't get to shoot people because they're involved in a murder.
Okay,
we don't get to shoot people because they run from the police. That's not how it works.
Well, I don't want to try the case here, but what I do want to know is the city council members decided to make a statement. They're clearly divided here, half backing the chief, Carbasi and Gary Bredefeld, are waiting to see how the legal process turns out. But Esmeralda Soria, Nelson Esparza, and Miguel Arias showing they're not behind the police chief here.
Yeah, this police chief, but more importantly, the previous police chief. It's not political locally, and it's election season. Yeah. And this is Jerry Dyer versus Andrew Jantz. You've got a former police chief versus a deputy district attorney. It doesn't hit more home than this. So yes, obviously they're going to come out.
The question is, should they be quiet because the city is under a massive litigation right now? Yes or no? Is it legal for them to say anything?
It's certainly legal, and I think it is certainly the humane thing to do. I think they're faced with this set of facts. I saw their video very briefly, and they say, here we are, once again, Fresno in the national spotlight for shooting people. And that's not who we are. I think that's an appropriate thing for them to say in public.
I do want to get to this. I want to get to this. Elizabeth, weigh in on this. Settlement or jury trial, whatever it is, the component of one officer heard in the package on the body cam footage, good shot. How do we view that?
I think it still goes back that we need to let due process take place. There's so much more information that we don't know, and based on, we can't just define decisions of guilty or not based on YouTube and public opinion. So we have to go through the legal process and see how this unfolds.
All right, so let's do this. I want to, because we only have about less than a minute left. The mayor's race now, this could play a big focus of that.
Yeah.
How much does it decide the mayor's race, you think? Jim, I'll start with you and come down the line.
This particular incident, no. But if it continues to happen, you've got a problem perception-wise with the voting base that Andrew Jantz can start hitting Jerry Dyer with. This is not something that happens.
Let me throw this out. Andrew Jantz is part of the DA's office, hired by Lisa Smitkamp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are they both against it here, or what?
An internal review, basically.
You'll notice nobody from the DA's office is commenting.
Well, of course not
on this. Well, no.
You think they should talk?
I think if this was cleared by the DA's office, as we are told it was, then they've stamped that there was no crime here, then they are free to talk about it. The only thing that they aren't permitted to talk about is ongoing investigations or events where there has not been a final decision. So you have to wonder, why aren't they talking about this?
Elizabeth, we've got 10 seconds. Punctuate it.
This is going to be an ongoing discussion that we're going to have up until the election.
Debates, town halls, this will be part of it?
I definitely agree, especially if it continues to be a problem.
And I do think it is appropriate to lay this at Chief Dyer's doorstep. The city of Fresno has paid almost $20 million in the last 10 years because of actions brought primarily against him and his department. Officer use of force, various things.
We'll see how that plays out among the voters.
If this goes for $10 million,
I believe that people are going to politicize it unnecessarily when we should allow for due process to take place.
Unfortunately, we got to cut it there. Buckle up. We got to cut it there. Great discussion. Up next, he is the face of Meet the Press, and he makes a rare cameo right here on Sunday Morning Matters. I sit down with Chuck Todd, his take on California politics, and the question that stopped the national political moderator in his tracks.